In studio for a little bit is a fellow we have had before from Gateway Development Consortium, i.e. the Cross Bayou Project, Mr. Larry English, Shreveport guy. Welcome back home, man. You said you'd spent more time home in the last, 6 or 8 months than you've spent a long time.
I've been here for 6 months. I've not been in Louisiana for 6 months straight for over 15 years.
Good heavens.
And man, I have ate my honey.
Your renderings for Cross Bayou are out. There's a cool video, but I noticed at the top the price tag is no longer $1 billion. It now says $1.5 billion. When did that change? What's happened?
The size of the scope of the project has changed. We originally were looking at 60 acres. It's now up to 80 acres, and we have included a tract there on the Red River, about 11 acres. So the site, the size of the project and the site has grown.
What's underwater down there now? Y'all, I'm sure you're going down there to check it all out, right?
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
You know, when they founded the city a couple of hundred years ago, they didn't have flood control. And I'm pretty sure when Captain Shreve decided to locate the city, he went to high ground. So if you really go down there now, 95% of Cross Bayou is above water. Okay? Mm-hmm. But man has been living on rivers for a millennium now. We know how to build on rivers and that to prevent flooding. So our technical people, our civil engineers, that's of all the issues we're dealing with,
Not a
that's
problem?
the least one. That one has never come up in the meeting.
Okay.
A local blogger has put on his website, it's a rumor going around, well, I guess since it's in print, it's more than a rumor, that the Caddo Commission is considering giving you guys $48 million.
All right, so let's talk about the...
What do you know about that? You've had talks with them previously, specifically Commission President Stormy Gage Watts. What have those conversations been about? What can you tell me about $48 million?
So let's talk about the $48 million. And because of the size of the site,
Excuse me just a second
Sure.
before you get rolling,
Sure.
and I don't mean to slow
Sure.
you down. When you say let's talk about the $48 million,
Yeah.
what I infer from that is that the $48 million is something that has been discussed.
No, I mean, yes, it's been discussed. It's been
Specific number.
Yes, but that number has been out there. We put that number out as infrastructure, and if you just give me a quick second, because I know you're
go.
brief, is that number is going to probably get a little bit larger because the size of the project is there. But let's talk about where that money is coming from. Part of the money is to assemble the land. The mayor is already assembling the land because the taxpayers have already passed a bond issue to assemble the land. So take that money off the table. Mm-hmm. Part of the money of that $48 million is to build a hard banking of Red River Waterway. The Red River Waterway Commission is already collecting your taxes. They're sitting on the last audit. I think they're sitting on about $60 million. They have money set aside to be able to hard bank the project, cleaning up the land. State and federal government has dollars to clean up the land. They won't give it to a private developer. They will give it to the city. So there's state and federal dollars, Superfund money already set out there to clean up the land. So when you start talking about that number, much of those funds are already there, and the taxpayers have already.
Not arguing with you that the money exists.
Yeah.
What I want to know is how close are you, and is how far along are those discussions of $48 million?
Good. So, and I said this the last time I was here. You know, we've been working on this project for 14 months, and we haven't asked anybody for any money yet. This is a complex project, and I understand everybody's focused on the $48 million. We have a team of architects, engineers, construction people that are working 20, 30, 40 hours a week to try to figure this project out. Mm-hmm. So I know we want to reduce a $1.5 billion down to a sound bite or a simple, but the reality of it is this project is so complex. We have really in the last 60 days finalized the master plan, the site of it is. And so now our team now is able to deal down of it is and figure out what these numbers are. So I would ask the city to be a little bit patient to so that we can understand, and the final numbers on what this project is, they're yet to be negotiated with the city, the parish.
A judicial complex that you've included. That's one of the newer pieces to the puzzle.
Yes.
We have a judicial complex. Why would we choose to move a few blocks away and rent from you guys when we own where we are now? Big question people are asking.
Because you own a building that was built in 1927 that is ill-equipped to be a functioning criminal justice complex in the 21st century. So we talked to Mike Spence at the Clerk of Court. He says every time we want to add a computer, we've got to start knocking out walls. Buildings have a life cycle. So I'm assuming in 1927, there were a lot of citizens saying, why do we need to build this big skyscraper downtown on Texas Street? These buildings, both the state office building and the courthouse, they have outlived their usefulness in terms of their ability to be able to function in the 21st century. That is just the reality of it.
It still has debt on it, though, correct? Don't they still owe some money
No,
on it?
I don't think we have not seen any debt on it because they recently did an annex. When you think about the time, when you think about the loss in money and time that employees working in these buildings that are outdated, that they don't have the latest technology. You can't wire a 1927 building for AI, for all of the latest technology that's now driving commerce in this globe. So these buildings have outlived their usefulness. It doesn't mean that they can't be reconverted to something else, but the district attorney has offices all over town. Nobody that's working in those buildings that know those buildings are disputing that they have outlived their useful life. There comes a time you have to do something. You have to build a
Why?
Okay.
The question, another big question that people bring up all the time is, and the point I've made is, it's a lot of new stuff and a lot of new shiny things downtown that
Okay.
you want to build across Bayou.
Okay.
But everything you want is already to some degree 600 yards away. It's called downtown. Why not take that money? Why not ask for that money and literally a massive downtown renovation? Because you can just gut everything. I mean, what's the difference between, in your mind and the financiers' minds, building new and renovating and gutting and renovating downtown?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I do not believe that they're mutually exclusive.
Well, for this project, they are.
No, but if you look at the design of the project, we have designed the project that it seamlessly integrates into downtown. The belief is, we believe it. I think the economic development people in the city believe it. We believe that if we are able to start Cross Bayou and begin building Cross Bayou, it will have a transformative impact the rest of downtown. We've got to inspire young entrepreneurs to buy buildings, to go downtown and start renovating those buildings. I have an airplane. I'm building an airplane to go off on this runway. It doesn't mean that it has to be the only airplane in town. I reject that we have to be the project that is the all-encompassing. That's not what we are. We want to build a project that we think we want to do Cross Bayou. We want to build a project that's going to interject economic development and turn and become a global brand. Let me just say before I get off the air, this project right now is being talked about all over the country, and we believe it will be talked about all over the world.
What's the next 3 items on we have got to do these and check them off?
We got to negotiate a binding agreement with the state, the parish, and the parish on this project. There comes a time you have to do a deal, and we're entering the piece of it is, well, we've got to go in the room and negotiate.
You said last time you were here, Shreveport needs to pony up at least $10 million. Anything?
Well, that's $10 million from private dollars. Anybody want to lend me $10 million? We're looking for, but that's $10 million out of the private.
Erin's got it in her trunk.